part of the century, Woodward Avenue was one of the most elegant thoroughfares in the country. It began with a triumphal arch at the riverfront, led to a city hall designed to signal governmental leadership, ran through a commercial district of charming shops, to handsome residential areas, and a stretch of factories where innovative architects built monuments to the efficiency of industry. But much of that is no more. In order to clearly see what has happened, the Urban Center for Photography began the Woodward Project. We combed the archives and found images that showed what life had been like here, and then rephotographed these areas. We wanted to find out what happened, and how a city could be demolished by neglect. Every city has a street like Woodward Avenue. Every city has a street that becomes its symbol, that becomes its focus. Woodward became a reflection of everyone's aspirations. It's where parades and celebrations were held, victories announced, where heroes returned. It connected us all. From the turn of the century, Woodward was the city's focal point. It was the avenue that let you follow your desires.
We would ride our bikes down to the docks and take one of the steamers out to Belle Isle. We'd stay all day, go swimming, rowing, and just fool around. It was the greatest. When we got back, we'd go across the street to the Verner's Ginger Ale Factory. They had a soda fountain right there on Woodward. When there was a big deal going on, like an Elks convention, they'd put up these arches down there. Sort of like Paris, I guess.
Where we used to welcome people, we've erected a fist. This guards the thin strip of commercial property along the river that's being revitalized while most of Woodward and the city is allowed to decay, to be forgotten. It's the wholesale undoing of what the merchants and lumber barons witnessed between 1905 and 1920, when the auto boom changed their city. The population doubled. 500,000 became 1 million faster than in any other city. The city grew and prospered.
Going downtown was an adventure. We would get all dressed up and go shopping in the huge department stores. They were very elegant. Nothing was out on the racks. Salespeople would make things appear from behind hidden doors. It was really something to see.
Every major store had its headquarters on Woodward. Bordering the commercial district was a beautiful urban park.
When he was designing the city in 1805, Judge Woodward laid Detroit out in a grid pattern. And so the major streets radiated like the spokes of a wheel from Grand Circus Park. It was intended to be the center, a place for public assembly. Not much survives of the judge's plan.
Back when I was in college, I went to Europe for a while and was surrounded by history. It gave me a sense of peace, you know, knowing that things aren't going to be destroyed. And then when I came back to Detroit, I was stunned.
I keep wondering what it was like to live here. What progress has been made? At what expense? How will it be for my children?
This area is slated to be replaced without a trace. Cleared land ready for development for a more prosperous and probably whiter class.
Woodward's growth was once spawned by the auto plants. One historian said that there were two significant events in the 20th century: the invention of the atomic bomb and the assembly line. The whole world transformed itself to assembly line production after Henry Ford's Woodward Avenue plant first put it into place. In order to spur sales, Ford reasoned that he needed to pay the workers enough so that they could buy the cars they were building. Not only did it sell cars, it started the middle class with a riot as people scrambled to get in on the unheard of princely wage of $5 a day. Soon there were 50,000 workers building and buying cars.
It's different now. It is such a shame. You know, they used to say that Detroit's factories were the wonder and awe of visitors from every land.
Old Henry Ford, for all his faults, realized that to create prosperity, you had to invest in your people and the infrastructure. Now, among other things, he promoted the building of better roads. Using his considerable influence, he suggested to his cronies on the County Road Commission that they try an experiment. A concrete highway. It was a first, and it was right here on Woodward Avenue.
As the roads improved and population grew, country estates were now within easy reach of the city. They became parks. The better roads, the notion that country air is conducive to spiritual growth, and the American hankering for wide open spaces prompted a continuing exodus out of the city.
The city's border at Woodward and 8 Mile is the real dividing line. Some of the wealthiest communities in the country are just over this psychic and political barrier. Growth on one side and decay on the other. It's a tale of two cities. But it's really one in the end.
Sometimes I feel like Cato the Elder, standing in the Roman Senate screaming, "Reform, reform." It's good advice, but is anybody listening?